Hello, ADP family. Welcome back. We took a hiatus for a week, but we took a hiatus, and we're going to catch up. Man, really? Did I have to do that? We're going to catch up in mustard with some goings on around Disney property. Now, I know that we haven't really talked news as of late, and we wanted to shift away from that, but there's some kind of important things to talk about, I think, as we've hit a key anniversary today, which we're recording this on Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. Yes. And so today is a huge 2-year anniversary of something that was unprecedented at the time. And it kind of leads into where we're going with some news and a fun topic. So join us, if you will.
This is another Disney podcast production.
Brandon, welcome back.
Thanks, man. It seems like even though we only took a week break, it feels like I haven't seen you or talked to you in like a month and a half. It just seems like it was such a long time, but it was good to have a little bit of a break.
Yeah. I came down and visited with you for a week ish. And then Rob joined us, right? Have you been on? You've been on one time though, haven't you?
Yeah, we had a show. I think we had one show after Rob.
You're right.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought you'd been gone for 12 and a half weeks.
Yes.
That's not true. Okay. Yeah. So we've kind of transitioned away from the news, but man, there's some big things, like I said in the opener, that I just think we should chat about. So
some happenings.
Yeah. So let's dive in. And
let's do it.
If people didn't catch on to it based on my snazzy opening with ketchup and mustard, boy, we script these all out. You can totally tell.
Yeah.
Planned. Absolutely not. So today, like I said, it is Wednesday, March 16th. This will land for you guys beginning March 18th. And today is the 2-year anniversary of which Walt Disney World closed for COVID. Closed. So, our favorite Disney news, there's tons of them out there. We don't dislike any others. We just naturally navigate to blogmickey.com, not sponsored. We just love them. And that day they actually launched an aerial vehicle. I don't know if it was a helicopter or a plane or whatever they did, but they were up and they have pictures of all the parks of what it looked like that day. And it was basically empty. I mean, you could see some employees wandering around, and there was 47 cranes at the Magic Kingdom because they were closed, trying to probably work on some of that 50th stuff. But it is mind blowing to me that was 2 years ago. And how long was it closed? It was closed for 3 months. 4 months. Yeah, 4 months.
4 maybe. It closed March 16th and it reopened mid-July.
Yeah.
So March, April, May, June, July, 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember back in the day pre-COVID, how it was always these weird things Disney World has been closed for 4 days since its opening. It was 1 for this hurricane, 2 days for this hurricane. It was all these potential natural disaster reasons. And then they closed globally and closed for months. So it was pointless counting after that. But yeah, I cannot believe it's the 2-year anniversary.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been crazy. Obviously, on a time hop on my cell phone, all of these memories came up,
right?
As far as the closing of Disney. So earlier this week, it was taking one last trip to the park before this dang virus closes it down.
For 2 weeks.
The crazy thing is, for a couple weeks, that's what all the posts said, which was, it's kind of, chuckling, looking back on it. All the posts were man, we're going to miss this for a couple weeks while Disney is shut. One of the ones that was there last night, we had when we lived across the street, we sat in the street and watched Happily Ever After. And we were the caption on it was man, we're watching the last show of Happily Ever After. We're really going to miss this for the next couple weeks. So it made me chuckle because Happily Ever After and fireworks were gone for 1 year and 4 months. So a couple of weeks turned into something obviously much more significant. But unprecedented shutdown of the parks. And it was super weird to live here at the time, man. Driving around Disney property and everything being completely empty was super weird.
Yeah, I'm looking at blogmickey.com right now, and it is surreal, what I'm looking at here, just as far as the pictures of like seeing like, hey, there's like 2 security people standing out front and no other humans.
Yeah.
And the like I said, Main Street, I can see a cast member or 2 cast members walking down the middle of Main Street. I mean, it was wild times. Yeah. And yeah,
again, it had to be cool to be a cast member during that time.
Like just for a couple of weeks. It's no big deal.
For a couple of weeks, yeah.
We'll let this slow down. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So we kind of, launching that today was the 2-year anniversary and recording of our show. We thought we would kind of stay in the pocket of news that kind of came alongside that. Basically, most of this stuff that we're talking about was basically because of COVID, and we're still kind of here. And so I'll let you lead off with the next 4-year project. How about you jump in there?
Yeah, absolutely. The next 4-year project, and we talked about it on our last show because we were right around the 4-year anniversary of one of the most anticipated attractions coming to Walt Disney World. Obviously, it already exists elsewhere in the world, but Tron Light Cycle Run is starting to look like it's coming towards completion.
Which you don't say.
Pretty epic. The canopy's going up, and a story came out that they are actually going to start ride testing the ride vehicles. So usually when that stuff starts happening, it's like a positive sign towards maybe opening the attraction. But yeah, definitely hit hard by COVID. COVID apparently lasted 4 years for Tron Light Cycle and 2 years for the rest of the world. But I'm super excited on that blog, Mickey, again. Like fun pictures. A lot of Imagineers talking about how excited they are to actually get the ride vehicles on the track and start testing it out. So that is going to be super fun.
It's been a few days now, but Disney launched like a video. March 10th was when it dropped. Launched a video of like some of the Imagineers that have been working on the project and how excited they have been, because obviously they've been in this planning, building stage. And so now to like see things moving on the tracks. And what's cool is because this isn't like an indoor attraction. So once they start testing this, guests are going to see it. The footage will start coming out. You guys will get to go and check it out one day when you're there. But it's funny to see like what they put on there I almost said beings. That doesn't really make sense. But they put, I don't want to say dummies, but like what else do you put it like? And I'm sure they're to scale and to weight because they need to, test it in real world. But they're kind of just like slumped over because obviously they can't.
It's like every dummy they put on there got shot before they put it on the ride.
They're all like they're praying or they're sleeping or I don't know what it is. It's just kind of and it's like the lead photo on the article and you're like, that's awkward.
That's awkward. It's almost like they look like they've been there for the entire 4-year construction process.
Waiting. Oh, yeah. So I don't know what these are made out of. So they don't look like the crash test dummies that you and I grew up with. There was like a whole like commercial campaign about wearing a seatbelt and all that, but they don't look like that, which would be way cooler if they did. And didn't they use those in some way, shape or form at Test Track back when they had that? I feel like most of their attractions, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, I think they use them on, most of those roller coaster type thrill rides. I guess you have to, maybe they have some sort of mechanisms in it to measure like centrifugal force and things like that. But yeah, I think generally most roller coasters are going to throw some sort of dummy on there, or at least weight.
Or some sort of weight. Well, we've seen them before on some other Disney attractions.
But yeah, you heard I will not throw you into this conversation. You heard my mini rant in our last show about Dude, like I'll just say it this way: in the 50s, Walt built Disneyland in less than a year.
I'm with you.
I know that the concrete wasn't dry and the women's heels and benches were sinking, but it was open. It was open in less than a year. So
yeah. I'm with you. I mean, it seems like it takes forever to build anything at Disney now. And I mean, with the technological advances that we have and like the planning and the architecture and the Imagineers, like it just baffles me that it takes so long to build anything, sans COVID. I mean, there's plenty of things that took forever. at Walt Disney World. I mean, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Fantasyland was like a 8-year project or some ridiculousness. Right. So, I mean, it's not like this is an outlier.
No, but I mean, I will say it is safety first. Like, I get it.
I guess.
Like, I would rather crash test dummies fall out than humans. Yeah. So I will go with that.
But if they need another crash test dummy, I would gladly volunteer.
Would so volunteer. 100%.
For sure.
This next one's kind of crazy. I never got to experience this, but certainly, with COVID and everything obviously shut down, but over time, many things, and now most things are back, like shows, activities on the boardwalk outside of Epcot are kind of back. A lot of the shows are back, but one thing that didn't come back was the Spirit of Aloha at Disney's Polynesian Resort, and it's never coming back.
Never.
No,
it's I guess in Hawaii, aloha means hello and goodbye. So I believe that in this case, the Spirit of Goodbye show.
Slow clap for that. That was pretty good. Well, I was impressed. Now, I will say, if you've ever had the opportunity, I haven't seen the show, but I'm guessing it's supposed to resemble like a luau when you go to Hawaii. We went to one of those things, and it was lots of Mai Tais, a pig that they cooked in the ground, and a lot of food and dancing and fire. So it's amazing. So I feel like it's similar to that. You can still see the fire dude at the Lion King Festival. I think he's still there. But yes. That's got to be sad. Like there's something special about these resort shows, right? I mean, you had Spirit of Aloha, the Hoop-de-Doo Review. I mean, there's just something about that kind of makes these staples that kind of feel like they've always been there, air quotes. And so this is kind of sad. I mean, I never got to experience it, so I'm not like devastated, but yeah, it's another one of those long standing traditions that are just gone and it's not coming back. And there's a reason why.
There is a reason.
What is that reason, Brandon?
The reason is that it has been announced that there's going to be an expansion to Disney's Polynesian Resort. Now, as soon as I read this, I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, 2 years ago, obviously, we're talking about how Disney's obviously losing billions and billions and billions of dollars. And now all of a sudden, we have money to build a brand new Disney Vacation Club gargantuan. The best I can say is that it's a hotel.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it looks like. There's nothing Polynesian Resort about it from the renderings that I've seen. I'll give it a chance to see what it looks like when it's built. But this is one that I wasn't necessarily thrilled about.
Yeah. I'm with you. We will believe the best.
We will believe the best, but yeah, it's they're just building a club tower between the Polynesian Resort and the Grand Floridian Resort, which leads me to believe, like, how is that now going to work with the walkway that is able to walk from the Grand Floridian to the Polynesian? We have to be a guest to stay there. Can you only be DVC to go there? Like, that's going to create a bunch of problems with that. But yeah, just from the pictures, it just looks like it's a hotel in Hawaii.
Yeah. So the rendering is great. Is it beautiful? Yeah, but it kind of looks like a Hilton or a Hyatt, or I don't know. Like the front of it, like I mean, in the rendering, there's lots of palm trees. Don't get me wrong. It looks Florida. But I don't know that I would say Polynesian. So obviously the inside of it could be impeccable, but I feel like we've got some options on the outside that, like, hey, let's rethink this. Just my 2 cents, which means absolutely nothing. But it's funny that you talked about what you talked about. The one thing that stood out to me is, this was like the Polynesian was built, like, obviously in the 70s, because it was a day one hotel with the opening of, wait, it was it? Yes, it was, right? It was that and
Contemporary.
Yeah, Contemporary Resort. Here's where my head is kind of with this. So if we look at these renderings, one, it looks to be about 8 stories. Maybe we'll just say 7 to be safe, but like if I can count correct, because it looks like the first floor could be like a double height wise.
Yeah, it looks 7.
Double height wise, and I just don't think that you can really It's my son. Everyone, my son keeps coming in here and walking in front of the camera. I'm just going to stop where I'm at. What do you need, oh beautiful one? I can't find my, and I couldn't understand the rest. When you walk past, can you go underneath the camera? Because this is not compelling content. Wait for it. And there it is, folks. He did not go underneath. Okay. Like I was saying, I don't think, it's just, this is kind of it doesn't make sense. So I'll just go with it. You got the Contemporary that was actually a really, really tall hotel, but it was designed for, a train to go through it. Yes. And it was just a very, it's a very A-frame, but the Polynesian, everything kind of feels low to the ground. Like there's not more than a couple of 3-4 stories. And to have this gargantuan thing. Now I get it. It's off to the side in between, so it won't really block your view as you're going on the monorail, at least in that section. It will, I'm sure, when it goes around, but it doesn't look Polynesian. It's huge. Like you would think you would want to just look like it matched like what was pre-existing. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just weird about that, but that's not what caught me off guard the most. I will read this in a quote. Disney has just announced that the proposed Disney Vacation Club villas are planned for Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. The villas are planned to open in late 2024. I don't know how good you are at math, Brandon, but that's like little over 2 years.
Little over 2 years.
We're going to build a full-on resort in 2 years. And we can't build one roller coaster that looks like it's about 4 seconds longer than Goofy's roller coaster. Like it's Florida. There's rain. There's storms, which we need to talk about some of the storms you guys have had over the past couple of weeks that literally flooded the parks and needed boats. I don't see it. I have zero confidence. If there's a less than zero, I have less than zero confidence that this will be done before 2026.
I agree. And I mean, and that's the sentiment really that you hear out on the interwebs. Like everybody kind of has this sentiment. I thought it was pretty evident, like in the blog Disney Post, is like they're really like, I love them because they're super like upbeat about everything Disney. They like to interject their like positive spin on like, just we have great feelings, but let's see what happens. But this article for this Polynesian Village Resort is literally the sentence that you just read. It's literally like, hey, they proposed a new villas. It'll be done in 2024. Like there's no other information.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that they may be on the side that we're on, that like this not going to happen by 2024.
Like 2040.
2040. Like that other park down the street is building a whole new park that's supposed to be done in 2024, and we are striving to get a roller coaster and a hotel built.
Yeah, so, we're working on that roller coaster in just a shade under a decade.
Just under a decade. It'll open in 2027.
Literally, I guarantee you the software that runs that thing has been updated 16 times since they've started building. Okay, all jokes aside, we're getting salt. I'm getting salty. My saltiness is coming through.
You're getting like you cancel your annual pass, and then all of a sudden you're just like Disney salty Dave.
I know. Have we officially announced that? Maybe I feel like
I think the last show you said it was going to be like 2 days, but you were not renewing. And I mean, I got to be honest, I did renew, and I haven't even been to the park. So,
I know you haven't been lately.
Like you were talking. I just gave Disney my money to watch the fireworks from my own backyard. Like they're magical. They convinced me to pay them to watch the fireworks from my own house.
Yeah, I'm going to illegally stream the music that goes along with it while I sit in my backyard swing.
Exactly. Here's $1,400. Thank you, Disney.
Have an adult beverage and a popsicle. Don't know where it came from. Oh, I'm not 7.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Disney had their little, what did they have? What was their big meeting that they had last week? It wasn't the like earnings call, was it?
It was like, something investors call or
yeah,
earnings.
maybe it was something like that.
Might have been the investors call.
Let's see. The lead speculation. I'm reading. This is again compelling content. Blah 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 blah. Okay, we talked a few weeks ago, and I've probably talked many times about my insatiable love for the original. The remake was fine. I didn't hate it. The original Mary Poppins film is by far, I think, the best film that Walt Disney ever created. And it is still to this day my favorite Walt Disney film, right? Yeah. I mean, you've got incredible people in that film, Oscar-worthy music, animation and real life. I mean, come on. And they did this in 1907 or whenever it was. Just kidding. But like, it is one that will stand the test of time. It will always be my favorite. I don't know why. I just love it. Now, when they talked about the expansion or the redo of Epcot, the Cherry Tree Lane was going to be built in Great Britain. No, it's England. Oh, well, it sounded cool to roll the R's.
The United Kingdom.
There it is. Thank you. No R's in either one of those. England, United Kingdom. Yeah, I know Disney really well, which is why I have an annual pass. So anyway, so they rolled, like Bob was talking about, the new Bob, by the way, was talking to the people in whatever this meeting, and they rolled the sizzle reel, if you will. And of course that wasn't in it, as well as some of the other things, but hold my beer. There was a question from the audience. There was that said, what they said, it was the annual meeting of shareholders. There it is. I finally found the thing. They were, we didn't expect to see that in the sizzle reel, but, we obviously knew that was dead in the water, everything, I mean, I know Disney says that like, we're not doing this. It's not, no good ideas ever go to bed forever. Yeah. But again, like I said, in the Q&A portion of the shareholder meeting, somebody said they inquired about the status of the Mary Poppins attraction. Is it going to be an attraction? I feel like it's going to be.
I feel like it's going to be a whole experience. I feel like it's going to be the street, and then there's some sort of attraction in it.
Yes. In response, to quote Disney Tourist blog, Chapek pointed to the other exciting additions that were previewed in. Oh, sorry, the screen jumped. Chapek further stated that said that the Mary Poppins expansion was in a holding pattern, air quotes, due to the closure of the parks and billions of dollars in losses sustained over the last 2 years, obviously. And he further stated that Walt Disney Company's crash in liquidity situation improves. They look forward to hopefully refunding those projects in the future.
Oh.
I don't really have any hope. I just wanted to find a way to talk about my favorite movie.
I'm with you. I don't have tremendous hope that this is going to happen. And if it does, it's going to be 15 years from now. Yeah, but right. Like we were talking about kind of before we started the show today, I think this is just something that they threw out for the massive Disney fans, the massive Mary Poppins fans, to make it seem like the cool things that they were going to do for the 50th before COVID struck are not dead in the water. There's something to look forward to. Like I said, that other park down the way is constantly innovating and building awesome stuff, and we're kind of holding on for one attraction. So I think that this is just an easy way, just like Disney always says, coming fall of whatever year, and then that's December 31st. I think this is just the coming fall of the lifetime of Disney. You know, this is still in our plans, but
yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear that he wasn't like, yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to do that. I mean, but I just wanted to bring this up because I love Mary Poppins, and it does bring a glimmer of hope. But also, if you have been around Disney or followed Disney stuff or are interested in Disney in any way, shape, or form, you've probably always heard that no good idea ever dies at Disney. Well, that doesn't mean they'll ever do it. It's just that's their way of saying we're not going to give you a solid answer either way, which is fine. Exactly. I mean, it's good, but and I think the scary part is they announced that, a year or so after the remake, and so there was still some fire, and of course Lin-Manuel Miranda was in that, and he's still like obviously still going big with some Disney stuff. But, I feel like after a few years after that kind of fizzles out and that hype goes away, it'd be surprising to me if that's where they decide to throw a few $1 million to make that happen. But
yeah,
it is an iconic film and iconic part of Disney. And, they've got the street literally already built there, and it's kind of off the beaten path when you think about, you have to physically go back there if you want to experience where it's going to be. And so part of me kind of feels like, is it worth the effort since it's not on the main road, if you will? Anyway, I just poo-pooed the whole thing.
It'll be, if they ever build it, it will be like people will flock to it because it's a new thing. But I think it's kind of like we talk about with Galaxy's Edge, right? Like, unless you're a diehard Star Wars fan, like, you're going to go see it, experience it, and be done with it. Like, I don't feel like there's going to be a lot to pull you back there again and again and again. So it'll be interesting to see if they put millions and billions and whatever kind of money towards that.
It'll be a cool photo spot for sure.
It will be a very cool photo spot. Very cool photo spot. Speaking of cool photo spots,
go.
I am super stoked, and we talked about this. One of my favorite experiences, attractions, I don't even know how you really term it other than a parade, returned to Walt Disney World in the last couple weeks. The Festival of Fantasy Parade is now back. And I know me and you both love to take pictures during the Festival of Fantasy Parade because all the characters are out there. We did report that there are now 2 separate showings of the Fantasy Parade. So no longer will the cast members get the "what time is the 3 o'clock parade" question. But now there's 2 shows, but they added something new to it, which could be cool if you really want a good spot for the show. They added a lightning lane option. Lane option for the Festival of Fantasy Parade. Now, to me, this does not seem worth it. I would never pay extra to go stand in a special spot for a parade that winds in the entire park. But it's a cool option if you've never seen it or you like to take pictures. So something
I would say the one benefit for this is if you've got that sweet little angel that is enamored with Disney characters and especially Disney princesses, that by far is, at least on the East Coast, is the best parade to see Disney princesses. Of course, they did a good job with the cavalcades for sure. I would just, I don't know, man. It's interesting, but it's like, if everything else is full, you can get a good spot for the parade. I don't know.
I think it's just, I actually don't think it's an individual lightning lane, so it's just the $15 upgrade. Like, you can select it. It just says it's Festival of Fantasy will be accessible via the Disney Genie Plus upcharge. So I guess if you pay the $15, then that makes it a little less stinging to me. Like, I wouldn't pay an extra $12 if I already paid $15. But if you want to go see a parade and you've already paid the $15, that might be okay.
I mean, it's cool. Like, it's more cool that the parade is back and that they have 2 shows to vacuum those people up. That's what's most important.
Yes.
And we'll continue to talk about those crowds and people as we get into kind of the main topic of our show. But probably the most exciting news that I think I have heard, especially if you have kids or you just adore the characters and what that used to look and feel like. It's been a little over a week now, but there was a conference on March 7th, I believe, and the Disney CFO Christine McCarthy talked about some of the Walt Disney theme park stuff that was going on, and like where the parades and stuff have come back and shows have started to come back, obviously. But what is interesting is she did not list a time frame. In fact, I will quote what she said. Her answer to what I'm about to tell you was soon. But Disney, traditional meet and greets will return when, Brandon?
It will be, let me check my watch. soon.
Yes, to theme parks. Now we know that, like, at least in Disneyland Paris, that like high fives and hugs have been allowed to return. Those crazy Europeans, you know how they are. But this is to me, it's just a matter of time. Like, collectively, people are traveling again. Like, I'm not going to say we've reached herd immunity, but it sure seems like we've reached herd immunity. And so obviously the crowds tell you at Disney that people are comfortable with traveling again. And going to really outside of California, New York was the epicenter of most people getting COVID. So, but yeah, again, like we talked about this so many times in our show, you never heard about these monster breakouts that occurred because people visiting a Disney theme park. So, Disney minded their P's and Q's and did a great job of keeping people safe as they could during the heaviest stint. It's not over by far. I don't want to pretend that like this is like gone and it's not coming back ever. But yeah, that's exciting. And I know a lot when this happens, obviously the first question that comes up is, what about the talking Mickey? You know, and I don't know, but it's really cool. And so hopefully that's something that will come back. But I like the word soon.
Soon is good. Soon is good. I feel like the talking Mickey may have gone the way of the Disco Yeti.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Like they've moved on. They put all of those resources in some other things. But yeah, I'm excited about this. Like, it's not like when you go to Disney and you want to take a picture with a character, like taking a selfie from 10 feet away or like having them in the background is just not the same as, you know, part of the magic is interacting with that character as that character.
For sure.
You can't do that with them, you know, 5 feet away. So I'm glad they're bringing the magic back. This was kind of evident that this was coming. If you looked at any of the behind the scenes stuff and the sneak peeks at the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser, you know, they have all of their characters in there, fully complete characters, and people are just taking pictures with them and hugging them and, you know, right up against them. So, you know, those are people who don't have the luxury of a mask or, you know, at least most of the characters in the park, they'll still have a barrier of stuff in between them and people. But this, you know, at the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser was just out in the open and everybody just interacting as normal. So you kind of get the idea that this is coming. I think it's probably going to be fall time, like sometime after the summer, that we bring these back. Just specifically because of the crowds that we're going to talk about. But yeah, I'm excited that these are coming back. I think it's going to bring a little bit more magic back to the parks. If you see a lot of stuff online on Facebook now, it's just about how Disney's lost that magic, and it's just not quite as fun to go anymore. And I think just simple interactions like this go a long way towards bringing that magic back.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's I know this may sound selfish, but throughout all of this, I thought, man, I'm so thankful that we have those pictures right there on that Amazon device. So I don't say her name. I mean, there's one right there. Like I'm looking, our daughter is being fully embraced by Goofy. Right. And so I'm glad that my kids got to grow up and not have to experience and got to experience what it's like. I think it'll come back to some type of normalcy, but like, it's just been a weird time for little kids to think like, wait, I get to go to Disney and be with all of my favorite Disney characters from afar. Like, so, you know, and rightfully so, safety first. I get it. But I'm so thankful to have those memories and those photos and like that these characters like swallowing my children with hugs and, you know, adoration. It's just been cool to have those memories. I mean, I don't know how else to say other than it's cool to have those memories. I think I should say it 16 times more.
Is it cool to have memories?
Yes. Okay.
Nice.
Now I don't live 7 miles as the crow flies or whatever it is that you live. What is it? 15 feet from Disney? I forget.
Yeah, something like that.
And I know you haven't been in a while, so I have a sneaky suspicion as to why, but that is we are smack dab basically in the beginning stages. And I want to say the beginning stages because that's key, meaning like this isn't going anywhere for the next several weeks. And that is all Disney World theme parks are sold out this week as spring break is basically ramping up. There is no, like, you can't walk up to Magic Kingdom or any park and buy a ticket. If you can't go on and reserve a park, it is absolutely slammed. So I figured, we had an episode, I don't know, several weeks ago, several months ago, maybe even, where we talked about what to expect in early 2022. Well, we're kind of basically through getting close to being done with the first quarter.
Yep.
And so I thought we could take this opportunity to talk about, this is just like the only thing that makes this really an announcement or newsworthy is the fact that if you don't have reservations, you can't get in. But that in no way, shape, or form can still overshadow what the crowds have been like since the beginning of the year. Yeah. Nothing like I have ever seen in when did we start going pretty regularly? 2007, I think. Yeah. I have not seen anything like this. Now, I think this is just a wave of this year, and it's the 50th, coming off of people didn't feel safe to travel. It's the 50th. I think this wave will subside over time, but I think it's so fun. Like the week after the first week of the year, great time to travel, to go to Disney. Like the first couple weeks of February before you get into some of the school holidays, great times to go to Disney. Not this year, pal. Not this
year. Yeah. Those do not exist anymore. It is just absolutely crazy how many people are traveling to Walt Disney World right now. And it's just, me as an annual pass holder, gone are the days where you could just get off work and be like, hey, let's go to Magic Kingdom tonight. Like I have to plan 2 weeks in advance to try to go to a park for one night. Now, for annual pass holders, you can get to Epcot, right? Because we're kind of at the end of one festival, beginning of another festival. So right now Epcot's pretty good, but Epcot gets boring if you go there all the time. Mm-hmm. So, but if I want to go to Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, definitely Hollywood Studios, I got to plan, I got to make a plan. I have to be like, hey, 2 weeks from Friday, let's go to Hollywood Studios, which is a bummer. It's just, it's not the way I envisioned this year would go. I thought all right, people are going to start traveling again. But it's not going to be crazy because it's still you have to get on a plane. You got to go to Florida. There's still the chance of COVID. But people do not care. They do not seem to care. The hotels are booked solid. You can't book. We used to be able to look on there and be like, hey, let's go stay at the Grand Floridian for a night, or let's go, Wilderness Lodge for a night. You cannot do that anymore. It's just packed at Disney. Anywhere you drive around Disney property is slammed. We're going out to eat. My mom's in town and we're going to go out to eat at Animal Kingdom Lodge tonight. But we searched for that reservation for weeks and it just happened to pop up yesterday because we were in the 24-hour cancellation period. So it's just slammed. I mean, there's no other way to say it other than it's packed.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I would say, so if we zoom out and go back 10 years, right? So let's go back 10 years. Summer was a bad time to go. That's when everybody was out of school. Yes. Everybody's traveling for summer vacation. And summers is what we would try to avoid. We would go end of August because we're fortunate to live in one, there's a few pockets of resort areas around the country where they go to school a little bit later, but our kids never, and even me growing up here, we never went back to school before Labor Day. Labor Day. And so that was most of the country, especially the Southeast, is back in school August 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there. So there's a good couple of weeks where you could kind of go. And, for the most part, other than locals, you had a good couple of weeks of the crowd levels are down because everybody's we're done with summer vacation, we're back in school. Obviously you still had international travelers that would still come in, but for the most part it was if you wanted to go in the summertime, we could be fortunate to go there because it covered a couple of bases, right? You've got fall was in full spring by then, the Halloween parties were happening, and so you could go in August before they got A, more expensive, and B, more busier. And so we usually took that opportunity to go. But another time that we would often go, especially when I had preschoolers, is we would go the week after Labor Day because I was well, who cares if and so we would come in and go September 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. And it was a go, other than the January, February dates, it was a ghost town. If you're familiar with the calendars, it was light green to green, and before the yellow and red, obviously. But So why I started off with the summer piece is even a couple of years ago that had shifted. Most people are like, the summer crowds are insane and they weren't going. And so summer for the past couple of years pre-COVID wasn't bad. Wasn't bad at all. It was it was surprising, the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be able to deal with obviously the heat, because in the summertime it is super hot during the daytime and a little respite at night. But yeah, there was a switch, like you said. Like, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that now kids can go to school and parents aren't really concerned about pulling their kids out of school. Before, like, you went to school when you had break, that's when you went on vacation. But now with virtual learning and things like that, there's kids leave all the time. And parents pull their kids out of school all the time. So it definitely has shifted towards summer. The good times used to be after the marathon in January till like March, this time spring break. And then right June-ish to July, and then it would get crazy. And then right after Labor Day, and then, between Halloween and Christmas time was good.
Right.
But now all of those are out the window. If you looked at the calendar, it'd be yellow and red for the whole year, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And now I want to be careful to say, like, because I read all the articles about this. I watch the ebb and flow of what the crowds are looking like, even from afar. As a Disney fan, I'm just curious. I'm interested, right? We do a podcast. I want to talk about these things. I'm going to go on a limb and say, I don't agree with what most people are saying, that like, there's no good time to go to Disney ever. Disney magic is ruined. It's over. There's so many people. I think this dust cloud will settle. Is that a good analogy? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of things that you're battling right now, which we've kind of talked about, but I'll say them like in a succinct like order. We've just come off of 2 to 3 years of people not feeling safe and traveling. Like, and some of you, if you were smart, saved your stimulus checks to go on this vacation, right? So people are feeling more safe to travel, right? It is the 50th anniversary for, 14 more months, 15 more months, 13 more months. So you've got that, like, new attractions are coming. There's just we're in a period of a whole bunch of change in a good way. Yep. Including that people are feeling safer to travel. That's a good thing, right? When nobody feels like, oh my gosh, we just have to stay locked into our homes, until we figure out what's going on. We've reached a safer-ish, use that term lightly, period during this pandemic. I think those things are playing a key and pivotal role into these numbers that we're seeing. But why I wanted to talk about this, so from now to the end of the year, I would not expect this to change at all. At all. I think these crowds are going to be record breaking as far as the length of time where we'll see unavailable reservations. Does that make sense?
That does.
Not meaning that, like, not where we're at right now. Not that everything is like you cannot walk up and buy a ticket. You can't get in if you didn't get. But I think that, like, as long as we have this reservation system, which it will be here for a while, I don't think that you're going to look over like June, July, August, September, October, November, December and see widespread availability. That's my point. Yeah. I think you're going to constantly see, that part's not available on that day. And you're going to have to continue to be strategic of two things, right? As you plan your vacations. One, how far you plan out, and two, where you want to go and what days, because you're going to need to make sure that you can go, because I like when I was an early on planner, I'm like, okay, we're going to first as soon as we get there, we're going to Magic Kingdom. They're going to, well, now it's like when you go and look, you have to go and look and say, okay, what's available for us to go to during our week, right? And so you have to kind of play that game. But what do you? I mean, these are my thoughts from afar. What do you think this looks like for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're pretty much spot on. I mean, I was doing a little research looking at the crowd calendar predictor. They're thinking maybe end of July, beginning of August is going to be pretty slow, which I could see. But I think it's going to be pretty busy for the rest of the year. And I think the number one thing driving it is actually the reservation system. Because before we had any kind of reservations, like, people just went to the park. There was no like, oh my God, it's at max capacity, I have to book. So now that we have a reservation system, people are like, I have to, even if I'm not going to go, I have to book reservations. So I'd be curious to see like what percentage of the reservations are people who just like we do grab, oh, we want to go to Magic Kingdom on Friday. Let's grab it because we may not be able to go if we want to end up going. Or people who plan their trip a year in advance, they're saying, I have to book reservations. Like I'm looking now and there's no park availability. Disney's only getting more popular. It's going to be the same thing next year. Just grab all the reservations. So I think the reservation system is working against us a little bit because it creates a false park at capacity feeling amongst people that make it seem more crowded than it is.
Right. Yeah. And then, I want to talk about something else, but I first want to ask, what time are your reservations this evening? I don't want to keep you.
We have to leave in about 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. We can talk about this because this shouldn't take more than 5 or 10. So the other aspect or piece of this that I wanted to talk about is that I lost my train of thought because I was worried about your time. It will come back to me as I ramble on. Okay, so we talked about the time frame that how this is going to last. Yeah, I agree. I agree that there could be a gap in there as people go back to school. Oh, I remember what I was going to talk about. I think there could be that gap, but as again, I have to zoom out and try to think like, okay, what do non-typical Disney people think like, right? Because they don't think like you and I. And so one of the things that I'm like, okay, we've got this sweep right now of the people that like, we've been cooped up. We feel safe to travel. Let's go to Disney World, right? But you've got these other people that said, we've been cooped up. We feel safe enough to travel. Let's go to Disney World. Wow, it's busy right now. Let's wait a little bit. Right? I mean, so you've got the people that are patient enough to say, let's wait till later in the summer. And so I think because of the overwhelming demand of people that want to go there, that's why I say for the rest of the year, I don't think we'll be like we're at this week with spring break. I do want to reiterate that. But I think that I don't think that you're going to wake up tomorrow and say, let's plan our vacation for August and have wide open availability for reservation the entire week that you want to go. I just don't see that happening. Right now, that may be the case because people may not have booked out that far, but I would be surprised. I'm not going to go and look, and you could go look and be like, Dave's an idiot. It's full availability. But like, my point is that's going to be quick. And so I think for most people, so this goes into the next piece that I want to talk about. I think for most people, that, and especially was this for me early on until I learned the system. Because remember, planning for a Disney vacation for years was the same. It was right. Book your hotel, book your flights, and then where you want book your fast passes. That was the extent of your stress related. Book your advanced dining reservations. That kind of was it in a nutshell. But now I think this adds as two things: a whole new level of difficulty. Coming from somebody who's not even updated the app yet to know what it's like with the whole new lightning lane and all that, right? And remember, remember the benefit with Fast Pass people? 30 days out if you were off property, 60 days if you were on property. Yep. Like this is all now like the day of. So you're really playing Russian roulette every day with your vacation of the rides you hope to get your lightning lane for before 7 p.m. at night. Yeah. Right. And so I think all of that, like this adds this whole new dynamic. Plus you've got busy parks. Plus you've got all these people traveling. Plus you've got new attractions and a 50th. And so that's what is making this year to me now that things feel wide open again. I use my air quotes, is all the new things that you have to think about is it just becomes disastrous with planning and preparation. And for me, that like, I'm just stressful thinking about, gosh, if we come this summer, like not only do I not have an annual pass now, so I have to figure out a ticket when we go, and then where are we going to stay? And oh gosh, is it going to be available? Should we just skip? Yeah. Like now I'm all like, and that's before it was just like, ooh, when are we going to Disney this year? You know,
exactly.
And so I just think it's a whole new monster, which is great for Disney, but I think that already stressful level has been compounded with all of these new changes and new things that are here. Obviously, Lightning Lane isn't going anywhere, but neither is a reservation system, and that to me is the dynamic of. I mean, I still feel like you had to overplan your Disney vacation to begin with, but gone is that flexibility of you want to wake up that morning and be like, No, like, okay, let's talk about pre-Lightning Lane and post-Fast Pass going away for COVID. Like, there was no wake up and be like, I don't want to go to Magic Kingdom today. Let's go here. Nope. Like, there was the whole reservation system. And so the flexibility and the freedom of being on vacation at Disney is completely gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the best way that I can equate it, because you explained it just how I feel, the best way that I can equate the current situation at Disney is like when you're at the supermarket, right? And there's 50 people in a line and you're like, man, I hope that they open another register.
Right.
And then as soon as they open another register, 48 of the 50 people go from the line that you're in to the new register. So I feel like that's kind of how Disney is operating right now, is that people are just like, oh, okay, it's really busy right now. So now, okay, they say April's going to be good. Let's go April. And so half the crowd goes to April. Then we get to April and they're like, well, it's really busy here, so let's go to July. And it's just it keeps compounding and compounding. So what would have been a heavy crowd during spring break now becomes a heavy crowd throughout the entire year.
Yeah. I think
so. I'm 100% with you on that. And I just think it was a perfect storm, right? COVID ended, and then the reservation system, and now we have the 50th, and now they're opening up stuff that hasn't been open for 2 years. So everybody wants to get back to see parades, to see shows. So I think it's just a perfect storm of people that's going to keep this going for X amount of months in the future.
That's not even to mention the handful of attractions that are still coming and things that have yet to be announced that will continue to be adding, throughout the Walt Disney World.
And you're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy bringing people to the park. You're going to get Tron Light Cycle Run bringing people to the park. So, I mean, there's new stuff coming. If this was just like, hey, let's ride out this wave, there's nothing new coming. It's going to be the same Disney. 6 months from now, I'd say it's going to go back to normal patterns. But, I mean, with all this new stuff coming, Memorial Day, I think, is when they let it slip that's opening. So that makes the summer ridiculous. And then Tron, the way it's looking right now, will probably be sometimes in the fall towards the end of the year. So that keeps the end of the year and Christmas time slammed. So I'm with you. This year is just going to be, it's a crapshoot. If you're an annual pass holder and you want to just randomly, spontaneously plan a trip to Disney, it's going to be super hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Well, this is good. Now, some of you may be asking, okay, why haven't they talked about the Galactic Star Cruiser? That's a whole, we like to talk about things that we think fit most of our audience, and a $5,000 2-day trip that I don't think fits I could be wrong. I'm not trying to money shame anybody. That's right. But I'm all like, I have zero, I am a uber Star Wars fan. I'm old enough to, I was not old enough to experience the original Star Wars in theaters, but I watched the other two originals in the theaters with my dad. And so and obviously I've stayed with that. Not as, if you guys remember Ryan, I am not as fanatic as Ryan, but I've always loved Star Wars. Love the characters. Chewie is my favorite character. No one asked. But the problem that I have with that is just first of all, I don't think it's great. And I know that people have put their full media experience with hour and a half videos. I haven't even watched them yet. I'm not interested. I will say this. It looked cooler than I thought it was going to be. Yes. It did look cooler, but
it did look a little cooler.
I don't think that the mustard is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I'm with you. that ketchup and mustard that you opened the show with, boom. It's definitely not worth that.
Brandon, if you win us a trip, I'll go.
Sounds good. Okay. That's the only way I'm going.
Yeah.
We drove by it last night and I was like, hey, look, there's the Star Wars Hotel. Never going. That was the first thing that I said. It doesn't interest me.
You walk by and that family just bought a used car and that family just bought it's only a 2-day stay? Wow.
You guys could have gone to Jamaica for a week, but hey, enjoy that 2 days of full immersion.
Oh boy.
We digress. If you love Star Wars,
do it. I think it's awesome. If you have the cash, go for it. I just for 2 days for $5,000 and up. Oof. That's not my cup of tea. I'm still a classic Disney guy. All right, this was
Yes.
good, dude. Enjoy.
This was fun.
Where are you guys eating again tonight?
We're going to Sanaa.
Yes, you are.
Sanaa. Yeah, my mom's never been to Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Oh, it's
we're
gorgeous. She'll love it.
It's going to be light today till almost 8 o'clock. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll see some animals, some giraffes and things. So we're going to
love
go
it.
check it out.
It's going to be great. We'll tell Mom I said
Yes,
hello and miss her dearly.
Will do.
And I guess we will catch everybody next week with a brand new edition
Brand new edition of Dave and Brandon, Grumpy Old Men.
who talk about Disney stuff. All right.
All right.
Bicycle.
Peace.